Okay, in this video we're going to look at superannuation, which is the way that you save up for your retirement. So you've probably all heard of Australian Super. So this is basically an investment where it's compulsory to pay out of your wages, and it builds up a massive fund for you when you retire. So in all of these examples, you've got to think of yourself as an investor, and then your fund, your super fund there. Okay, so there's your investor, and there's your super fund. And you need to think about which way the money's going, and therefore what should be positive and what should be negative. For example, if with PV, okay, if the money's in the fund, then it should be negative. If the money is with the investor, then it should be positive. Similarly, FV, if the money is in the fund, because it's going to eventually come back to the investor, it should be positive. If the money's with the investor, technically that means it's negative, so it needs to go back to the fund. Alright, so we're going to be focusing mainly on when you're in your retirement, so your PV will be negative because it's in the fund, and the FV will be positive because it's due to come to you eventually. So, have a look at this example. A teacher wants to retire in 30 years. They estimate they'll need $4,000 per month to live. They plan to have a 40-year retirement. Interest rate's 2.8%. What's the total amount they'll need saved? So N is going to be 40 years. So 40 times 12. I is 2.8. PV is going to be an unknown number. PMT, we're told, is negative 4,000. So, sorry, positive 4,000, because that's going to come to the investor. Remember, anything going towards the investor means it's going to be positive. FV equals 0, because it's going to run right down to 0 at the end of the 40-year retirement. And then that's 12. Okay, so let's put that into the calculator. So we've got 40 times 12, 2.8, unknown, 4,000, 0, 12, 12. Okay, so we're going to hit enter in the PV box, and that's going to give us the number, which is negative 115.2. Okay, so that's how much needs to be saved. So in a positive number, that's 72 cents. Okay, if they currently have 24,000 in the super, how much will they need to pay to reach that target in 30 years of saving? So we've got 30 years at 2.8%. We've already got 24,000 in the fund. We don't know that. FV is the target, so FV is a positive 115,418.72. PPY is CPY is 12 and 12. So let's find out what that is there. So this is where you want to use copy paste. So if we copy that and paste it into there, and remove the sign, and then if we just put this as 24,000, negative 24,000, we don't know what PMT's got to be, but we know we've got to do this in 30 years. Double check that, because that's the interest rate, so that's going to be 2.8. That's got to be 30 years. Okay, so let's try that again. That looks better. So payments of 1950. So that means that it's being paid by the investor into the fund every month. Okay, if they want to make this last for 30 years, after 30 years they've got to increase to 4,500. How long will their super last them? So we don't know how long, but we know it's 2.8%. We know that PV is negative 115,418.72. PMT is positive 4,500. FV is 0, and then 12 and 12. And that will give us a value of N there. So again, copy paste that into the PV. Make that negative. Make that 0, this unknown, and make the payments. These are when they're retired, so they're going to take this much money out now. How long will that last? 139.53. Sorry, 391.53 months. Okay, and that's how you do Australian super calculations. Next, we're going to look at changing conditions.